Welcome back. In the last video, we checked out a few different methods of creating Matplotlib plots and figures. That name is kind of interchangeable, same with the name visualization. If you hear that, they're often referring to the same thing. And we looked at a little trick with the little percentage sign to set up Matplotlib so that our plots appear in our Jupyter notebooks. So now, we're going to start this video off by checking out the Matplotlib anatomy of a figure. So let's have a look. As I just said, I've got anatomy of a Matplotlib plot, and I just said we're going to check out the anatomy of a figure. And so this is how I mean these words are very interchangeable. So I want you to be aware of that whenever you're looking at Matplotlib online. If you're going to Stack Overflow or whatever resource, the documentation probably is more formal using the word figure. We'll see that in a moment, but if it refers to plot or visualization, they're always meaning kind of the same thing, which is this complicated but beautiful mess here. So if we look at it, figure is kind of like the giant section here, the everything, the blue square. So the figure contains all of it. It's like the blank canvas. And then what we're going to do is start to add things as we go to make our plots look beautiful. So we've got some data here. This is heart disease analysis. This is the centered title. Don't worry if this looks a little bit more complicated than the plot we've just done. Like, this is a very simple plot here. This one's got a bit of fancy colors and a horizontal line and titles and legends. We're going to work towards making something like this by the end of the section, so we'll get there in a moment. But you can see here, these two axes, this is a subplot. We've got one plot here, axis 0, and this is axis 1. So there's two types of information here, but they share an x-axis, which is the age. We've got an x-axis label here. We've got axis 1 title. This one's got a legend. So does this. And then we've got two different y-axis labels. So this one is max heart rate, and this one is cholesterol. And then we've got a mean line going through here. You might want to take a screenshot of this, but don't worry, it'll be in the resources section. This is kind of the anatomy of most Matplotlib plots that you'll check out, at least for 2D plots anyway. So yeah, you've got label titles, and what all these little things do is that they just add to the communication value. Of course, you could make a plot without these titles or these horizontal lines or these fancy colors, but it would be kind of hard to understand. So that's why we add these things here. Let's go back. Before we jump into the next video, let's have a little bit of a look where the object-oriented comes from. So if we go back to this cell here, we might go type fig, type ax. So here we go. We've got matplotlib.figure.figure. So the formal definition for something like this is a figure. And then we have matplotlib.axes.subplots.axes_subplot. So this is what it means when Matplotlib talks about the object-oriented API. So we've got the figure object, which is back to our anatomy. This is the figure object here, this big blue square. And then we have the axes objects. And now the axes objects, they're always kind of a subplot because this is a subplot on a figure, but you can have more than one axis on a figure, if that makes sense. So if we had two more of these over here, this blue box would stretch out to cover those. So the figure is the base canvas, and the axes are like we're drawing on that base canvas. Now that we've kind of understood the fundamentals of Matplotlib with the figure and the axes, let's check out a workflow in its entirety. So we'll type in here, Matplotlib example workflow. Maybe we'll make this a heading so it's a little bit separate. Matplotlib example workflow. So step 0 is import Matplotlib and get it ready for plotting in Jupyter. Beautiful. Now we've already done this, but I would just want to do it all in one cell so you can see it happening. Matplotlib inline, import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Step 1 is to prepare some data. Prepare data, x equals, we'll keep it nice and simple, just as we did before, but you'll see in reality, x and y can be basically any data or any numbers that you can imagine. And then we go number 3. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. Set up plot. Now this is where we use the object-orientated method. Fig ax equals plt.subplots We're going to throw in a little keyword here that I want to introduce you because you'll see this a lot. Fig size 10, 10. Now let's see what this means. Can we go Shift Tab? Yes, we can. We go down. Is it going to have it there? Oh, it might not. Fig size parameters. We'll keep scrolling through here. It's a bit hard to see. Fig size, ax, examples. Well, I'll just tell you what it is. Or you can practice looking up the documentation. But what this essentially means is it's just height and width. And they may be back to front. It's usually X then Y, so this is probably width and this is probably height. That just means the dimensions of this plot. So we'll go here. And we'll go number 3, which is plot the data. So we want to add to our X and Y. What have we done here? We've created a figure and we've created an axis, and now what we're doing is adding data to our axes. Okay, yeah, this is making sense. And then we want to customize plot. Now, we haven't seen these, but they're fairly intuitive. So I'll let you guess as I'm typing them out. Simple plot, that's a good title, I think, what they actually mean. So now that we've done just one, what do you think we've got? So we've got ax.set, and then a parameter saying title equals simple plot. X-axis, we'll keep the titles for the X and Y. Nice and simple. Y equals Y-axis. Wonderful. And then we'll go number 5. You probably wouldn't usually do this. I'm just showing you all this in one hit just for the sake of seeing a Matplotlib workflow running live. Save the whole figure. That's the word I'm looking for. That's what I said out loud, but that's what I didn't type. So fig.save fig. And then we want to save it to... I've got an images folder set up that I already have prepared earlier, so you can save it wherever you want, but this is just going to be the path name, sampleplot.png. There we go. So let's step through this. We import Matplotlib. We tell Jupyter that we want to plot our Matplotlib plots inline or figures inline, so within the notebook. We've created some data, X and Y. We've set up a plot, aka a figure. We've given it a size of 10 by 10. We've added some data to the plot on our axis, and then we've customized the plot. Now, can you guess what's going to happen here? If we look at this, then if we compare it to our anatomy, we've got a title, and we've got X and Y labels. Can you guess what this is going to do here? We'll see it in a sec. Remember, if in doubt, run the code. And then we're going to save a figure here. We could share it out like that. Let's see what this does. Ah, we got an error. That's all right. No such directory. That's all right. I thought I knew the path of my image directory. Doesn't really matter. Images. What have I got wrong? Images. Oh, I don't think I need the dot dots. There we go. Simple plot. So this is a 10 by 10 figure. So let's practice this. Maybe we change this to 5. Okay, yeah, so that was width. So this is width, height. Beautiful. There we go. Well, that's not looking very good. So let's put that back to 10. Wonderful. And so now we can see the title is simple plot. The Y label is Y-axis and the X label is X-axis. Of course, if you had some data on here that was more specific, you might want to label your X and Y axes to tailored to your data. But in our case, this is just a nice and simple plot as we've got the title here. And if we go back up here, check in our images folder, we've got sampleplot.png, which if you didn't want to write this line of code, you can also right click and go save image as. But that is enough. You've seen a Matplotlib workflow. You've also seen the anatomy of a Matplotlib plot or figure. So before the next video, try to create your own plot like this. Get as fancy as you like. Create a little bit of data. You could try create a NumPy array and plot it and see how you go. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.